Thank you for joining me today. I am looking forward to interviewing you for the secondary teaching position. We're going to answer about 7 or 8 questions. Some of them will have you looking at lessons you've developed, the way that you've addressed student needs, and how you manage data. I'll also ask you a reflective question at the end and just an opportunity for you to make any last minute statements or ask any questions.
Okay, thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. Okay, so our first question, just walk me through a specific lesson or unit where you successfully differentiated instruction to meet the needs of both advanced learners and students with significant learning gaps. What specific strategies led to their growth? And if you need me to repeat the question, I can.
Okay. Well, in a recent math unit on fractions, I noticed a big divide in abilities. So I made sure to change up my lesson delivery. I put the advanced students together in a group and gave them a little bit harder multi-step word problem worksheet to be working on while I worked with some of the students who have more challenge over at the teacher table. We used fraction circles to help them visualize the parts of a whole. The strategy worked well because the struggling students got the extra visual and the extra attention that they needed. And the advanced students weren't bored. Most students improved their scores on the final test. So I think the next time I would consider creating a more diverse option for those students who are more middle of the road.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Our next question. When a student enters your room, multiple grade levels behind, as we know they sometimes do, what does your targeted tier 2 intervention look like in practice, and how do you decide when a student is ready to exit that intervention?
Well, for a student who's pretty far behind, I pull them into small intervention groups 3 times a week during the campus intervention time. We review the foundational skills that they're missing, like basic vocabulary or decoding skills. I keep an eye on how they're doing in a small group, reading time to see if they're starting to catch up. I usually decide that they're ready to leave the small group once they show that they can pass the classroom quizzes on grade level material without me sitting right beside them helping them through.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is more data driven. Tell me about a time a data point or assessment artifact completely changed your instructional plan for the next day. What was the data and how did you pivot?
Well, I can recall a time I was grading a math quiz on a Tuesday evening, and I realized that over half the class had completely bombed the section on long division with remainders. I realized right away that they weren't up to moving on to the decimals the next day like I had originally planned. I pulled the quiz questions up on the smartboard, and we went through them one by one during that day. It took the entire instructional period. We spent, then we set up a few more questions on whiteboards so that we could see if individually they were able to get through those. Okay. I know it put me behind a day on the schedule, but I think it was worth it.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about PLCs or your teaming time. In your experience, what is the driving factor or factors that transforms a PLC from a compliance meeting into a proactive collaboration designed for student growth? What role do you typically play in making that happen?
Well, I think a good PLC should probably be focused more on teamwork than just filling out the forms and checking a box for administration. When everyone at the grade level actually wants to cooperate, it goes a lot smoother. In our meetings, I try to be an active participant by coming prepared with my lesson plans and resources. We look at the benchmark scores together and talk about what areas students are struggling with across the board so we can brainstorm some ideas on how to fix it before the next major grading cycle.
Okay, thank you. Transitioning now to looking at how you manage remediation and keeping your curriculum rigorous. How do you systematically balance teaching grade level rigorous standards while simultaneously remediating foundational gaps so students don't fall further behind?
Well, it's definitely a harder balancing act. I always make sure that the grade level that I teach the grade level lesson to the whole class first, so everybody knows what the expectations are. Then during independent work time, I adapt the assignments. I might give a struggling student or students a more modified version of the worksheet, maybe with fewer problems or a few definitions at top to help them through. This allows them to still participate in the main concept without getting completely overwhelmed by the reading or the math skills that they haven't mastered yet.
Okay, thank you. On our campus, there will be opportunities, I'm sure, in your teaming or with students when you have a concern to navigate professional disagreement. So this next question is an opportunity for you to share an example of a professional disagreement or conflict you had with a colleague or team member regarding a student or instructional strategy. How did you navigate it to ensure student success wasn't compromised?
Well, I did have a disagreement with a coworker who wanted to teach a history unit purely through lecture. Well, I wanted to do interactive group stations. We had a bit of back and forth about it because she thought that the stations would be a bit too chaotic. To keep the peace, I suggested that we split the unit up, that she structured the first half of the chapter on lecture and that we did group stations for the second half. It wasn't a perfect system, but it prevented a major argument and allowed both of our styles to be used to the benefit of the students.
Okay, thank you. A couple of more questions here. Student tracking and ownership. Describe a system that you have used in the past that successfully supports student tracking and taking ownership of their own goals, growth, and achievement.
Well, I've utilized a digital tracking sheet through Google Sheets where I hope that student progress on where I logged student progress on weekly quizzes aligned with our readiness and standards. After each quiz, I would display the anonymous classroom data with averages on the board so that students could see how the class as a whole was performing. Then I would hold brief one-on-one conference with each student during the independent reading time to show them their individual charts. To encourage ownership, I had the students fill out goal-setting index cards at the beginning of each 6 weeks, stating what grade they wanted to achieve and how they thought they could get there.
Okay, thank you. Just to finish up, as we were wrapping up, what would you like the interview committee to know about you, and what questions do you still have for us?
Well, I'd like the committee to know that I'm incredibly hardworking. I love working with kids, and I'm really passionate about helping every student succeed. I've heard great things about the school culture here, and I'm encouraged and would love to be part of this team. Questions for the committee? Maybe what does a typical day look like for a teacher on campus? And what are the standard expectations for weekly lesson planning and submission? Another question is, what kind of professional development opportunities do you offer teachers throughout the school year?
Okay, so a typical day for a teacher on this campus is going to be, it's going to depend on the department. And since you are interviewing for a language arts position, you are going to start with your PLC or teaming at the beginning, which that department appreciates because it means that you can look at that lesson for that day and make your plans accordingly. You'll meet with them in the teaming room, and then you will have the opportunity to go and deliver your lessons. You will have mostly grade level students with one inclusion class, which means you'll have an aide come in and support the learning in that classroom. And of course, you'll have your lunch time and your conference time. For the position you're filling, it looks like probably 7th period will be your conferencing. We have morning duty and afternoon duty stations because we're a small campus. Everyone participates daily in duty rotations. And you will also have your opportunity to look at that and make sure that it meets the needs of your specific schedule, your duty rotations. I know some teachers are parents, and so making their duty work is a goal of ours. We have a lot of people coming in from distant locations. And to your second question, you were asking about professional development opportunities.
Yes.
So monthly for the first 3 months, we have a learning session where administration will push into PLC and we will talk to you guys about different skills or strategies that we're working on, things that we see are necessary to close student achievement gaps. From there, we will also occasionally send department heads or department teams to professional development training. We have one coming up this spring that looks closely at the Teach Like a Champion method of instruction, but we will also use Teach Like a Champion or TLAC in PLCs. That's a process we started last year and we're continuing that process now. So you'll have an opportunity maybe for a little bit of in-district and out-of-district travel professional development training.
Sounds good.
Okay, any other questions or concerns?
I don't think so today.
Okay, we will let you know probably within the next couple of days, but it could take a week depending on the district.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for meeting with me today and coming in to interview for this position. We're excited to get to know you, and I've got about 7 questions for you. The last opportunity for you to share will be an opportunity for you to ask any questions of the panel or to make any final statements about things you think we should know.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
Okay. Our first question, walk me through a specific lesson or unit where you successfully differentiated instruction to meet the needs of both advanced learners and students with significant learning gaps. What specific strategies led you to their growth? And if you need me to repeat the question, I can.
Okay. Well, when I have a class with mixed abilities during a lesson, I try to make sure everyone stays busy. For like the fast finishers and the smart kids, I usually will tell them they can read a book, they can read it quietly, or they can get an educational program on the Chromebook.
Okay.
For the kids who are really far behind, I will walk around the room during the independent study time and kind of stand behind their desk and help them out with the questions.
Okay.
It kind of helps to keep the classroom managed, but I find it really hard to get to everybody, when I do that. So.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is going to be about your interventions. When a student enters your room multiple grade levels behind, which they know that happens sometimes, what does your targeted tier 2 intervention look like in practice, and how do you decide when a student is ready to exit that intervention?
If a kid is really far behind when the year starts, I make a point to pull up pull them aside, and whatever extra time that I have in the class, I'll give them some flashcards and maybe some lower level worksheets so they can practice and so they can try and catch up with the rest of the class. I don't really have a specific test to see when they should stop. I just kind of monitor their general attitude,
Okay.
And see if maybe the report card grades they go up. See if that works.
Okay, thank you. Question 3 is going to be data focused. So tell me about a time a data point or assessment artifact completely changed your instructional plan for the next day. What was the data and how did you pivot?
I usually will look over the test scores over the weekend to see how everybody did. I notice a lot of students, they got the same question wrong on a Friday test. I'll make sure to mention it at the beginning of class. I'll write the correct answer on the board, explain why it was right. I'll tell them to keep it in mind for the next test, and then we go ahead and jump right into the next lesson and keep on going.
Okay, thank you. Our next question has to do with the PLC process or your team meetings. In your experience, what is the driving factor or factors that transforms a PLC from a compliance meeting into a proactive collaboration designed for student growth? What role do you typically play in making that happen?
Well, I think a really good PLC meeting, you just really need to have a good attitude and have a clear agenda. Mostly so it doesn't take up too much time, planning time. In my past meetings, my main role has been just keeping everyone on task so we could fill out the required paperwork and, lists and logs and things. We usually use that time. We talk about calendar events, and we coordinate our field trips, and we, copy worksheets, that sort of thing, just so our day goes easier, and talk about where we're all at in the textbook chapters.
Okay, thank you. Next question is about remediating for your students. How do you systematically balance teaching grade level rigorous standards while simultaneously remediating foundation gaps so students don't fall further behind?
If a student is missing basic skills, they really can't do the grade level work yet. So I have a lower bar set for them temporarily. I'll usually give them an entirely different assignment, something from the lower level so that they can build up their confidence, right?
Okay.
If the rest of the class is writing an essay, I might just have my struggling students focus on writing the complete sentences.
Okay.
It keeps them from getting frustrated and that they can get back to it with the rest of the class when they're ready.
Okay, thank you. On our campus, like many other campuses, there may be situations that come up where you disagree with your team or other people on campus. So can you share an example of a professional disagreement or conflict you had with a colleague or a team member regarding a student or instructional strategy? How did you navigate it to ensure that student success wasn't compromised?
Ooh, well, I usually try to avoid conflict if I can, because it makes the work environment uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
One time we had a grade level partner refused to pull her weight in creating our weekly quizzes. She left all the work to me to do. So instead of starting a big confrontation or arguing about it, I just went ahead and I just took care of it myself. It was just easier. And then when I was done with it, I emailed everything to her every week. It was extra stress for me, but it ensured that the students still had their tests, and they kept our team peaceful and at least on the surface.
Okay. Thank you. This next one has to do with student tracking and taking ownership of their learning. Can you please describe a system you have used in the past that successfully supports student tracking and taking ownership of their own goals, growth, and achievement?
Okay. Well, to keep students tracked and motivated, I'll rely heavily on our online school gradebook system. At the start of the year, I make sure all the students, they know how to log into their student portal on their Chromebooks, and I'll remind them to check their grades, make sure they do it every Monday morning. If a student sees that they have a low grade or a missing assignment, they know that they can come and talk to me. That way I can give them some makeup work. For tracking goals, I put up a poster board in the back of the room, and with a thermometer graphic for each class period to earn pizza party.
Oh, fun. Okay, thank you. As we finish up today, what would you like the interview committee to know about you, and what questions do you still have for us?
Well, honestly, I think my resume covers most of it, but I just want to say that I'm a really reliable person, and I rarely ever take sick days.
Okay.
I like to be at work. I'm just looking for a good environment where I can do my job and help out where I'm needed. As far as questions, about how long does it take for them to make a final decision, and when do you think I could hear back from HR?
Typically it takes about a week. So I would make the recommendation to the hiring committee at the district level, and that has to get approved through the superintendent and the school board. And that usually happens pretty quickly this time of year as we're hiring new teachers for the new school year. So I would guess about within a week, you would know something one way or the other. and I'll reach out to the district person, and they would reach out to you.
I see.
Okay.
So I could hear pretty soon then.
Yeah, within a
Quick.
week.
Oh, okay. So what kind of policy is there regarding like duty schedules, like morning drop off or lunch duty? And like how often do the teachers have to do that?
So our rotation is going to include everybody every day at some level because we're a small campus. Typically, you'll have a morning duty at least once a week, and everybody serves for afternoon duty because there are so many exits to cover and so many like crosswalks and things. We want to make sure student safety is our priority. And so everyone helps cover for about 10 minutes afternoon duty, and then there's a rotation for morning duty. Typically, everyone takes a turn. And then we have administrative assistants and other teachers that are looking to support growth or looking for leadership opportunities that they will sometimes have a daily morning rotation. So.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Take care.